as we visited with Les Bernal. He is the National Director of Stop Predatory Gambling, and we are revealing the truth behind gambling operations. This is a series of segments for our radio, podcast, and video. So we hope you'll connect with us on all of those levels, and these are going to be made widely available because we know you may have jumped into this discussion at any point, and we encourage you to hit our podcast page, and you'll be able to find these eventually at our Facebook page as well as we put these up for people to see and to share. We have covered a wide range of topics concerning gambling. We do know there is a heavy push to legalize gambling in Alabama. Not only casinos that we just kind of got through talking about, were the kind of the farce of casinos being this great thing for a state, but we also want to touch on lottery and sports betting as well. So let's talk about lotteries. Les Bernal, our guest. Les, lotteries, they're just a wonderful thing that absolutely changes your state for the better. And, people win big, and it's all wonderful, and it all works out perfect, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, one of the key things, as you know, that is the message that you hear from lottery executives and lottery lobbyists.
And it funds all kinds of great things.
Yeah. But, again, if you look at the states, kind of reiterating all the arguments that, the lottery is kind of the bedrock of predatory gambling in America. It's the foundation of all of it.
It's the base of it.
Yeah, it really is. So today, in online lotteries today are really operating like online casinos. So your neighboring state of Georgia, which you hear a lot about here, okay, just to summarize their lottery a little bit, they sell $50 scratch-off tickets to citizens making $7.25 an hour. The profits that come in from the Georgia lottery in theory goes to pay this Hope Scholarship program, which ends up in large proportion, those scholarships end up going to middle class and upper class families.
Sure.
So you have low income people in a state like Georgia paying for middle class and upper class families to go to college. It's the American dream perverted
in reverse.
Yeah, it's perverted. And forget the moral. Just as a person of faith or the moral aspect to this, we're supposed to love our neighbor. Like God loves us. Like the idea that we're openly cheating and exploiting our neighbor to keep them in poverty so our kid goes to college, it's outrageous.
Yeah.
The idea that you don't know these people. If someone paid for my kid to go to college, I'd at least want to know their name. Send them a thank you note, right? But anyway, but Georgia now, more specifically, Georgia, states like Georgia and many other states, they're actively targeting young people now because they're trying to hook a whole new generation of young people, our kids, teenagers, kids, young adults, onto the lottery, and the way they're doing that is coming online. So if you were to go on,
I want to mention that because people think in Alabama they think of a lottery as going to the convenience store and buying a ticket, like you said. That's what they think of because
they
that's
think
what
of Powerball
they do.
and Mega Millions.
Because that's what they do when they cross the state line and they pick one
they
up.
They think it's Powerball, Mega Millions, and Powerball.
What you need to do is get online and go look at some of these states that have a lottery and find out. That's really not what it's all about anymore.
It's never been about those games. They make the Powerball and Mega Millions are a small portion of profits for state lotteries. More than 70 to 80% of state lottery profits come from scratch-off tickets, and that's why states like Georgia and many others sell $50 scratch-off tickets. In a state where people make $7.25 an hour, Texas sells a $100 scratch-off ticket to low-income communities.
So how much of the profits come from these scratch-offs?
About 70%. And some
so the
states,
scratch-offs are where the big money is.
And some states allow what's called electronic gambling machines. They have video gambling machines as part of the lottery.
Yeah, like in Georgia, they have those.
Yeah. But those are games those are also very profitable. And any rapid play, high speed gambling games, that's where the money is.
Yeah.
So but the future for lotteries is online. So if you sign on to onto the Georgia lottery website and look at what a lottery looks like today in 2024. It's about online games. So they have games on there with cartoon-like figures, ladybugs, cats and dogs. As cartoons. Who do you think those images are targeted? 30 years ago, there was a national scandal how tobacco companies were using cartoon-like figures like Joe Camel to target teenagers to get them hooked on a dangerous addictive product of smoking and tobacco. Today, you have our own state governments are partnering with gambling interests in states like Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, and others, surrounding Tennessee, to encourage kids cartoon-like games to get them hooked on gambling. You know, my own state of Massachusetts has during the holiday season, they have Frosty the Snowman on a scratch-off ticket, like an iconic figure from the holiday season. They put him on a scratch-off ticket. Like it's unreal. State lotteries are exempt from truth and advertising regulations, so they can get away with anything. They market as this is your fastest way to $1 million.
Well, we've looked a lot here at Georgia and Virginia. Their lottery is the same way online. It's a lot of games. I'm talking it's hundreds and hundreds of games where you can go in as little as a nickel. Bet a nickel, you know, and the promise is, you know, you can win 15,000 if you bet as little as a nickel. And then they're games like Monopoly and just, you know, games that people would play on their phones or on their mobile device. But you go in now you're putting money on those games. So kids are conditioned to play those games because we put a screen in front of them from the moment they come out of the womb, basically.
That's right. And
then now all of a sudden, hey, I can win money doing this. So you put a nickel down.
That's right. Yeah,
I've always loved this quote, 1969. This is on your stoppredatorygambling.org. A New Jersey congressman, Cornelius Gallagher. This was his selling point.
Yeah.
There were no state lotteries in the nation, okay, 1969. New Jersey wanted to be first. And this was his quote, that if the Garden State of New Jersey enacted a lottery, quote, we could abandon all taxation in New Jersey and increase every service in our state 4 times over.
Yeah.
Didn't work out because now they not only have a state lottery, they've got casinos and online casino gambling and other sports betting. They were listed not too long ago by George Mason University as the 48th ranking worst physical condition of any state in the nation. And they're the ones who started this whole thing.
Yeah, so here's the truth, the real truth. So that's part of the lie, right? Like that lie, like think of New Jersey is a mess.
It was going to fix everything.
Yeah. And so that's why the state of Alabama today, you have lower taxes today because you don't have a lottery or casinos or the other form of gambling. You have stronger families because you don't have all those other forms of gambling. Your state is better financially, in a better financial position because you haven't had predatory gambling. You have less people in poverty because you haven't had predatory gambling these last 30 years. You know, you have less gambling addiction in your state, you know, because you haven't been gone down the road of predatory gambling. Like Alabama today is far better off because you haven't gone down that road. So like that quote is $1 million quote. It really summarizes why this is a big con.
All taxation in New Jersey and increase every service in our state 4 times over. And look, it worked. And they've been telling every state the same lie ever since. And so far, every state minus 4, including Alabama, have bought into it.
And Greg, that's why this is a debate. This isn't about gambling. What people do privately is something different. This is a government program. One of the founding democratic principles in our country, and I say Democrat with a small d, is no taxation without representation. Right? That's what the Boston Tea Party was all about. Mm-hmm. Today, we have, and that's one of our core principles of who we are as a people, as American people. Today, we have a system in our country of taxation by exploitation. Mm. And that's what predatory gambling is, whether it's in the form of state lotteries, brick and mortar casinos, electronic gambling machines, or online gambling, whether in the form of sports or online casino gambling. Okay, we have a system of taxation by exploitation, and the time has come in America where we need to add the principle of no taxation by exploitation, right alongside the democratic principle of no taxation without representation.
Well, the promise of money goes from lotteries often. They'll put whatever label they need to put on it to make people feel like, yeah, let's put it toward that. Whether it's education, elementary, high school education,
it's whatever they can drag it across the finish line. It's a dead carcass.
Yeah.
They're trying to. How can we get this? How can we get 50% plus 1? And so to get people to either vote for this or to get letters, and so they'll come up with any.
I predict
it's a naked money grab. Man.
I predict, and at this point in Alabama, we do not have a bill for the 2024 legislative session gambling bill, but it's coming. We know it's coming. All right. I predict that they're going to probably promise to put this money toward mental health. Have you heard of other states promising that?
Yes. California had a whole referendum in 2022 to try to legalize online sports gambling, and they were going to use the revenue to pay for mental health services and homelessness. and the perversity of that, the hypocrisy.
That's circular,
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. But the irony is this is an industry that preys upon people with mental health problems,
Yep.
and it's an industry that creates mental health
Yep.
problems in people. So it's like willfully giving yourself cancer. You know, like it's absolutely dishonest, this industry, what they'll do, and the guys, the legislators that stand up to promote it, of both parties, again, incredible hypocrisy, because most of these guys don't even gamble themselves.
Yeah. All right, this is Priority Talk Radio. I'm Greg Davis, visiting with Les Bernal. He is the National Director of Stop Predatory Gambling, and you can visit that website. I encourage you to do so. That quote that I gave you is directly from the website. It's documented there, stoppredatorygambling.org. You really need to be informed on this issue. It is going to be the issue of 2024, I do believe, in the state of Alabama, and it's going to have far-reaching consequences for generations to come. All right, let's take a break, and we will come back with another segment, whether you're on audio, radio, or video podcast. We'll be back with another segment. We've still got to talk about sports betting, and Les, I find that is that's the part of this that the people know the least about.
Yeah.
They don't understand what sports betting has become, because it's not betting on this Saturday's game and then next Saturday's game.
That's right.
It's much different than that now. Than calling a bookie on the phone.
That's right.
And it is very dangerous and very addictive. And I'll tell you this: if you've got young men in your life, you need to hear what we're going to tell you about sports betting.
That's right.
All right, Greg Davis here, Priority Talk Radio, PriorityTalkRadio.com. We'll be back with another segment.